As night falls over the country, New Providence, Hurricane Matthew has left dozens of communities literal obstacle courses, many houses unlivable, and put the resolve of thousands of Bahamians to the test. Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. The monster Matthew is barreling through the Bahamas, leaving in its wake power outages, downed lines, floods, and last-minute evacuations. But the country is still not out of the clear right now. The northern Bahamas now under the gun as this catastrophic storm moves towards them and the southern United States. For the latest on the storm, we head straight over to Basil Dean for the latest. Basil.
Thank you, Christopher and Keishla. After pounding New Providence and Andros for most of the day, Matthew is now making its way across the island of Grand Bahama at 5 o'clock this afternoon. The center of Matthew was located at 26.2 degrees north, longitude 78.6 degrees west. Matthew is moving toward the northwest at 14 miles per hour, maximum sustained winds at 140 miles per hour. And the forecast track will continue moving northwest during the course of the night, eventually moving into the east coast of the Florida Peninsula, and that should start to leave our area sometime during the early morning hours. And as you can see on our satellite picture, the heavy rains and hurricane winds already moving inland over Grand Bahama. And storm surge is also going to be a major player in this storm system as it passes over Grand Bahama. The western part of Grand Bahama, they will be experiencing storm surge from the north, while eastern Grand Bahama will experience storm surge from the south. And that's due to the cyclonic circulation around the eye of Matthew as it moves inland. So heavy rains, storm surge will be a major player overnight. So residents in Grand Bahama, you are already under hurricane conditions. So we're asking you to stay locked down and stay there until the all clear is given. Do not go outside, because outside is very, very treacherous. We can tell you from what we experienced here over the last 36 hours. Keishla and Christopher.
All right, Basil, we're looking ahead right now as the storm is battering Grand Bahama right now. If we could take you back to the track, the 5-day track, it seems as if the storm is making that curve around. Even though it is the 5-day, I think at the anchor of the 5-day forecast, it has it as either, if I remember correctly, a tropical storm or a tropical depression, making that loop back towards the Bahamas. How concerned should we be at this point that we will get a rerun of Hurricane Matthew in a few days?
Well, Christopher, anytime you're threatened by any kind of tropical system, it is of concern. And as you spoke to the track, it will make that turn sometime on Sunday, heading towards the east and then dipping towards the south again as a tropical storm. So it means that we must continue to monitor this even after we get it out of our way late tonight during the early morning hours, and even after we would have dropped the hurricane warnings early in next week. Well, we might have to change our position with regards to Matthew. So he's not completely gone as yet and could be a menace during the early part of next week. So continue to monitor the progression of Matthew into next week.
Well, Basil, we're beginning to write quite the storm stories here in the Bahamas. Grand Bahama has a narrative of its own. Francis, Jean, Wilma, what can they expect in what areas of Grand Bahama tonight from this storm, which is expected to peak around 9 p.m., I think?
Well, really, from central Grand Bahama heading back west is where the core of the hurricane force winds are expected, but the entire island will experience very, very strong winds during the course of the night and during the early morning. And as we just spoke about, storm surge, a major factor. As you may or may not realize, Grand Bahama stretches from east to west, a very long island east to west, and hence they're going to get that storm surge from both directions because of the long nature in the east and west direction. You will get northerly as well as northerly surges, I should say, over the western part of Grand Bahama, while over the eastern you will get those southerly swell as a result of that cyclonic flow. So residents throughout the length and breadth of Grand Bahama will experience some storm surge.
Basil, in addition to, like you talk about that storm surge, in addition to that right now, should we be on the alert now to a certain degree for the expectation that Grand Bahama International Airport could be flooded like it was a few years ago? Some of the roads impassable in Grand Bahama. As that Cat 3 storm is now moving towards there, is that something that they should be concerned about especially when people try to cross through these waters or have parked cars and try to get back in them to save them. Is that what we should be expecting tonight with them?
Well, that is a real possibility, and I'm quite sure the disaster managers on the ground in Grand Bahama are quite familiar with the lay of the land and would do all that they need to do in order to keep one safe. But the thing is, we cannot stop the storm surge, so we're asking people to do what is necessary. That is, move to higher ground, and when the all clear is given, those who are doing the assessment will go in, take the assessment, determine what needs to be done, and get workers in there to bring relief.